If your way of life is being understood by others, they will know where you're coming from. There won't be discrepancies. There won't be, there'll be relative peace. There'll be relative understanding to know that, hey, you're from this, and these are the kind of food that you guys eat. Or you are from X country, and that's your mannerism. So it won't come off as a shock, culture shock. So I decided to use cultural diplomacy to drive peace, promote peace within Africa and outside of Africa.
Today I'm joined by Chukwuebuka Anyaduba, known to many as Chuks. He serves on the Nigeria Senate Committee on Reparations and Repatriations, is a cultural enthusiast, and the convener of the Flavors of Nigeria Festival in Brampton, Canada. Through his work, he's advancing cultural diplomacy and heritage on a global stage, bringing communities at home and across the diaspora. Chuks, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Diane.
So maybe just to kick things off, you can't do everything you do and say you do one thing, right? You don't just focus on one thing. There must be some intentionality behind that, right? So what does living fully mean to you?
That's an interesting question because it's something that has always been my watchword. Living fully for me means living a purpose-driven life.
Purpose, yeah.
So at every point in time, I ask myself, why am I here? Why do I need to go there? Why do I need to do this? So there has to be a purpose. And guess what? This consciousness started when I turned 35.
Okay, so just like yesterday.
No, not yesterday. I turned 35 some years back.
Yeah.
I'm over 40.
Yeah.
So
I think 35 is the key age, honestly. It's like when
you get married, you know,
for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people, you start thinking, what investment am I going to do? Where am I going to be? Where am I going to, yeah.
It also feels like maybe the halfway point. Like maybe the halfway point should be really 50, but there's something about mid-30s that you're like, I need to start becoming intentional.
I agree, because from 28 to 30 to 35, you're still trying to make your mistakes and, but at 35 to 40, you should have a balance to know this is what I'm doing. So if I'm doing this 20 years down the lane, I should think of retirement.
Yeah.
So it was at that age that, I started being very much, conscious about life, what I want to do, who I want to become, and all that.
So what does cultural heritage and cultural diplomacy mean to you?
So I'm an advocate for SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. And one of the key goals that I align with, is the promotion of peace, justice, and strong institutions. So I see cultural heritage as a way of life of a people. Now, if your way of life is being understood by others, they will know where you're coming from. There won't be discrepancies. There won't be, there'll be relative peace. There'll be relative understanding to know that, hey, you're from this, and these are the kind of food that you guys eat. Or you are from X country, and that's your mannerism. So it won't come off as a shock, culture shock. So I decided to use cultural diplomacy to drive peace, promote peace within Africa and outside of Africa.
So how does that show up in our daily life? Okay. Cultural diplomacy, like how do we practice it?
So from private like individual level and at government to government level. So at government to government level, we're talking about foreign missions coming to, the missions they serve. For example, Nigerian mission attending an event that has been organized here in Brampton, Canada, and we have the government of Canada, in attendance as well. So at that point, that was the meeting point between both countries. So a lot of cultural diplomacy is going to happen there, because parties are going to ask questions. How do we make this better? How is the life of Nigerians living in Brampton? What do they need? How can we support? Are you having problems with XYZ individuals? How can we provide solutions? So at that point, we've created a platform for diplomacy to happen. So diplomacy brings forth concerns by individuals in a particular state and how they are going to be addressed. That's at government level. At individual level, understanding our way of life.
Yeah.
You as you're from Rwanda or you're from Canada, you know that, this is the kind of food that Nigerians eat. This is how Nigerians behave. Don't take it personal. It is our culture. It is how is our way of life. When you see a masquerade, when you see people dancing, they're not fooling themselves. It is how they live. So you get to appreciate that more, and you guys live peacefully.
Yeah, and I really think, Nigerians do such a great job about that because I have so many Nigerian friends and I have so many Nigerian colleagues, and they'll say something and you just be like, don't take it personally, they're Nigerian, right? Because they're very outspoken, right? You have exported not just your food, not just your fashion or your music, you've exported your character, right? I think that is so interesting. Like, and you wear it with pride, and I think a lot of other African countries can emulate that, right? What does Nigerian mean to you? What does being Nigerian mean to you?
Being Nigerian means everything to me. I keep saying that. I don't think there's any other country I can call my own. I'll be a Nigerian tomorrow. I'll be a Nigerian next year. I always love home. I always like to go back home.
Yeah.
I love my village. I'm a very cultural person, and one place I feel at peace is when I'm in my village in nature, and when I'm in Nigeria. I've been here for 20 days. There's a lot of things I miss at home: the food, the people, the community. I mean, not like I can't have them here, but that is the origin of who we are, and I'm so proud to say that.
I had the pleasure of attending the event recently, the Flavors of Nigeria event. And honestly, I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect that in a good way. First of all, the turnout was massive, right? For one country. Usually in Toronto, we have something called Afrofest that happens annually. And it has been there for as long as I can remember, since I was a kid, right? And it has
37 years.
Yeah, 37 years, and they get thousands, hundreds of thousands of people now. But I've seen it grow steadily over the years, and to see just one festival represented by one country get that kind of turnout, which is something that I heard about maybe the week before I went. It wasn't something that had been on the radio, like mass marketing, right? So first of all, Nigerians show up, but you also pulled other nationalities.
Absolutely.
All of Africa came to support. I came for you, but I also came for the jollof rice. I'm not going to lie, and the plantain. Right? I love the jollof rice, the plantain, and the music. And I think what was so interesting about this event, because I honestly expected to hear the likes of Burna Boy, right? I guess the millennial Gen Z music. And I heard a lot of traditional folk music, can I say? Which I thought, I was like, there's a real emphasis here on tradition, right? And I think it felt very intentional, like we're not going to lose our tradition, we're going to mix it with what's happening now and what came before us. Can you just speak to that, like on the intentionality of bringing the elders? I know there was a table for the elders, right? There was the traditional folk music. There was also representation from government. Just the intentionality of bringing this all together.
Yeah. So if you look at Flavors of Nigeria Festival, I'm glad you pointed that out. The name, Flavors of Nigeria Festival. So when you hear flavors, you probably think
The
food.
Yeah.
But it's beyond food.
Yeah.
So the authentic Nigerian flavor is you, the music, the culture, the traditions, the fashion, rooted down in every single detail about Nigeria. Now, when I visited Canada for the first time 2 years ago, I realized that we had pockets of events, Nigerian events happening, different cultures, or the Yoruba, the Hausa, the Igbos, the Benin, having pockets of events. Even that day, they had a little bit of events. So I thought that...
Oh, by tribe.
By tribe, thank you. So I thought that we need an event that could bring everyone together, right?
Is this the first of its kind?
This is the second.
Okay.
So we had the maiden edition last year that was attended by the former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau.
Trudeau.
Yeah. So I wanted to move away from the traditional concerts.
And sorry, let's just stop there for a second.
Okay.
By the time Trudeau comes to an inaugural event, right?
Yeah.
Let's just understand how big that is, or how big the Nigerian diaspora is, right? To even pull that weight, right? To pull that kind of levers of power, right? And I was there, so I saw, there were ministers from the
Yep.
Canadian
Yep.
government,
Yep.
and I even asked you, like, is that a minister from the Canadian government? And you
Yes.
said yes. Yes. No, continue. I thought it was just so important to point out the Nigerian diaspora,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the emphasis of that community on Canadian culture,
Yes.
and that is really
Yes,
cultural
thank you.
diplomacy.
You can say that again. The Nigerian community is very strong in Canada. They're very strong in Ontario. They're very strong in Calgary, Edmonton.
Okay.
So it was right and ripe for us to bring forth a festival that can celebrate Nigeria, not just little events here and there. So we wanted to move, like I was saying, we wanted to move away from the traditional concerts where you have Burna Boy, Wizkid, Charlie Poppy, and all of that, which is great, by the way. Mostly happens in Toronto.
Yeah.
So we wanted to. My first trip to Canada, I studied. I was interested in where families live, not where the young people live, which is, of course, downtown Toronto.
You're a traditionalist.
Yes.
Yes.
So I realized that young people, families live GTA,
Suburbs.
Vaughan, Brampton, Mississauga. So I said to myself, what event can we do to target those families? People don't want to drive 1 hour to downtown Toronto. They do, but if they have reasons not to, and not, boom. So we came up with Flavors of Nigeria Festival. The target being to attract Nigerians and friends of Nigerians who live within the GTA and around. The population you saw that day, I don't think they're even up to 20% of Nigerians who live in that. So a lot of people have heard about it. Next year, they look forward to it. Just like last year, they came out. Next year is going to be bigger and better. So it was born as a result of the need to export Nigeria's cultural, tourism, tradition, everything to Canada, representing in food, fashion, music, lifestyle, and everything.
So when we talk about exporting culture, right? Not just Nigerian, but African culture. Of course, I'm sitting here wearing Dylab, one of my favorite Nigerian designers.
Looks like a Nigerian outfit.
It is Nigerian. I did this for. This is. I did this. Yeah, it's Dylab.
Exactly.
Dylab. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's one of my favorite Nigerian designers. They're so comfortable. But when we think of exporting African talent, right? It seems like the benefits are outside, right? How do we make sure we can tap into that industry, the creative industry, right? And have homegrown talent be appreciated at home, but also get financial gain while at home, right? Because the Burna Boys, the Wizkids, and all of the great female artists, etc., when they go out, we're very proud of them, right? We're their biggest cheerleaders because we know how hard it is to really, can I say, make it in our countries. And I know Nigeria is a big market, but just thinking of the continent as a whole, how do we value our artists better and really make sure that they can, that Africa is a market for them as well?
So you find out that this is an interesting question. So African artists, they grow up from Africa and then they diffuse to the world, right? Now, when they diffuse to the world, meaning they usually become very bigger, and they start doing shows in stadiums in UK, in Canada, America.
Which is great. Yeah.
But then at that point, they price themselves out of the market. You hardly see a Burna Boy concert in Nigeria. You hardly see a Davido concert in Nigeria. You hardly see a Wizkid concert in Nigeria because they are now so expensive. How many promoters are going to bring out $500,000, $300,000 for one artist? Who are the sponsors, the tickets? So they get those benefits growing up, upcoming, and they blow up, boom, and they outprice themselves out of Africa. We now have to rely on the next level of generational artists who are to benefit from Africa. So we now move to B-list, C-list, D-list artists.
Yeah.
And those ones
Let's call them upcoming artists.
No, they don't like being called upcoming artists.
Oh, really?
But
I'm
when
sure
you're on
like
that
D-list artists.
Oh, there are D-list artists. There are D-list. I don't want to mention them, but there are D-list artists. D-list artists, they are not upcoming.
Okay.
No, they were once B-list, C-list, and then dropped to D-list.
Okay.
Because they don't
Is that
have.
because they're older, like they've been in the music industry for so long, they're no longer producing
Pretty
music,
much,
for example?
Perhaps, or because they've not had a hit in a long time.
Okay.
So they drop down to. So when you have another hit, you can move back to. So there are a couple of those artists. So those ones actually benefit from the resources that Africans have to provide. They travel within Africa. Even the earliest to move within Africa, but probably for free shows or government-sponsored gigs. But when you talk about tourism proper, where you can have an international body come to Africa or come to Nigeria and say, I'm going to do this show, and Davido or Wizkid or Burna is going to be on it. It's pretty much not common right now. So the talent that we have in Africa, they grow especially in Nigeria, they dish out artists every other month. New artists come out every other month. So they position themselves to benefit from the resources they have within Africa. But when they grow too big, they'll price themselves out of Africa.
Should there be a special price for Africa then? Because it requires a lot. We need our people to earn more. The earning potential needs to increase to be able to afford the tickets, right? Because we even see it with American artists coming to Africa, when they're beyond their prime, and now they're touring Africa after 30 years of being in the industry. Now they're coming to us to give, and which we love. We love to hear the old school music, especially my age group, But what do we do? Because I do remember Burna Boy coming to Kigali to Rwanda a few years ago. I think it was before his first major hit. I hope I'm saying that right. He had great music at the time, but I think it was before the last album. And I don't think he's been back. I don't think we could afford him at this moment in time. Rwanda is a very small market, honestly. We have very few advertising sponsors. At least in Nigeria is a bigger market. But and they have fans everywhere. I mean, small countries like ourselves and others. Like, what do we do?
So we don't pretty much. Davido does free concerts.
Bless him.
Wizkid
We appreciate
does free concerts. But the point is, they have to be the ones to say, I'm going to do this for my fans. They do it for Africa. Wizkid used to have Wizkid Festival. Davido does, concert. They do free concerts to appreciate their fans. But from the business point of view, it is difficult to get an investor that's going to put in $500,000, $300,000, convert it to Naira is a lot of money to bring those artists for a proper concert. However, they still go for events. Like you're having a wedding, you can invite Davido. He's not
like one or two songs.
Maybe 3, 4.
Yeah.
He's not going to charge you as if it's a concert.
Yeah. And I do think, I've been to a Burna Boy show in the West. It's a production now. I mean, he's always been an entertainer.
Concerts are big,
right?
Production.
But it's also the budget of production, right? I'm sure has increased tremendously, and he doesn't want to. I'm going to assume that he doesn't want to
lower his standard.
Lower his standard, exactly, right? So that comes at a very hefty cost. You're right. Sometimes we outprice ourselves, but in a good way. We're happy for Burna Boy, and for everybody. But I do think Africa has a lot of challenges. That's just music, and exporting music is sometimes easier because it's on the airwaves. But fashion. If I want this, I need to go to Nigeria, or I need somebody to be coming to Rwanda, or they do. They do what are they called? The pop-ups, right? They'll travel around to different countries and do pop-ups, and then we all go running, because logistics is an issue, right? Logistics around Africa, the cost of shipping, it's cheaper to get things from China, right? But how do we go beyond the challenges to really support our local talent?
Within Africa, or local talent here in diaspora?
Within Africa. So I guess both. I guess here it's the logistics are easier, right? But within Africa, the logistics are quite challenging.
I think they are easier within Africa.
Really? Why do you say that?
Yeah, because we have the artisans, we have the talents there, we have affordable production. We have if you're producing this outfit in Canada here, it's going to cost you more.
Yes.
So for talents in back home in Africa, I think there should be a strong level of engagement that the government needs to have. Access to financial liquidity, loans for production, to set up your business. Like here, if you have good credits, you can use your money to set up a business and all that, and then you pay gradually. We don't have a lot of those opportunities and facilities back home in Africa. One, because of the attitude of people. Two, because of lack of investment banks or government subventions and initiatives are not there. So it starts with government first. Secondly, affordability of materials too. There are some materials that are imported, although this is an African fabric, is a Nigerian fabric, but the threads are probably not from Nigeria. There are some key things that they also. So government needs to also give a tax break to some of those items so that it can be affordable. That way, they can produce affordably locally. But I also want to encourage that. I mean, Flavors of Nigeria, that's what Flavors of Nigeria was all about. Let us export some of those products so that we can earn in foreign exchange. You're saying that you need to go to Nigeria to do this. You don't need to. There are some vendors at the event that sell this.
Yeah, I saw them, and my cousins bought a few.
Exactly.
Everything, actually, from clothing to the braids.
It's happening. There's a renaissance happening. There's a change happening, which is what we want to encourage so that people
But it's like the pop-up model, right? Because if
it is the
back
pop-up model.
today, they're not there, right? It was a stand.
Yes.
And maybe they'll have a limited supply that they also got from Nigeria. That's what I'm saying. It's the supply chain, right? Is just not there. And I do know, as you're saying, like governments and the development world are working on it, to be fair. The Africa Development Bank and I believe Afrexim Bank, they have a creative fund that all people in the creative industries should definitely look into, especially the Afrexim Bank one, Import and Export Bank.
Yep.
Right?
Even local ministries. For example, in Nigeria, the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy has some, grants and funding for, but the thing is that a lot of them don't even, take the time to fill the form, process, apply, for the grants and for the funds.
That is.
Laziness one, I would say that because I've had an experience. I shared a link for a particular grant to about 4 of my friends who need funding. Only one applied. The one that applied did not complete the application.
Oh.
So sometimes laziness, because some of those forms will need you to provide certain information or your bank, your accounts, your run-ins, your cash flow, everything, earnings, and if you want to say that you run a business, you should have those at the back end. So a lot of them don't even have some of
that.
those.
Maybe they're not officially registered.
They are officially registered, but bookkeeping, it's not something that they might be. For example, some people, they might earn cash and might not record it. So there's a whole lot, and an investor, a business, someone who wants to give you money needs to understand that you know what you're doing. Some of those grants are just free. Some are to return back after a certain period of time. So if they keep doing that without having a sustainable plan, it's just going to fizzle away. So individuals too, I believe, contribute to that.
Absolutely. You have to put in sweat equity, right?
Yeah.
Put in sweat equity. You have to make sure you're officially registered. You have to pay the taxes. You have to keep the books, etc. And what you don't, also you have to know what you don't know, right? And say, I don't understand this.
So you learn.
And then you learn, right? And there are lots of ways to learn these days. You don't need an MBA, right? There are lots of ways to learn. There are lots of short programs. The internet is great. Now we have ChatGPT. There's so many ways to learn and to do. So maybe just switching over to your other work, which I find also very interesting. Your Senate work on reparations and repatriations. Those deal with very sensitive historical issues. How do you balance honoring the past and building the future?
So I work as one of the consultants to Senate Committee on Reparation and Repatriations. That is my primary role. And what we do is to develop models and policies, support the senators to develop models and policies to seek for reparative justice on the aspect of reparation and repatriation of lost or stolen African artifacts, in this case, Nigerian artifacts. Now, if you look at on the part of the artifact, we'll have a cultural aspect of it because artifacts are our culture, right? So if some of them are lost, what we are saying is that there has to be some form of reparation or some form of compensation or return of those artifacts. Beyond the return,
So if they're lost, who pays?
if they are lost, someone must have misplaced it. There has to be maybe it was taken from Nigeria by the British, for example,
so lost
and then it lost abroad. So the person who it was here before, but we don't know what happened. We lost it in transit, or you know. So we've had cases of some of them being returned, but we're not even saying it should be returned just like that. There has to be a plan, a sustainable plan, because right over there in UK and Europe, where they are being placed, it has earned money over time. So let us know, what has it earned? If it's being returned to the people, what is the plan to keep it safe so they can still be earning more money over there in Nigeria? Is there a proper museum? Some of those things are what we're looking at. So there's a bit of the cultural aspect of what I'm doing with the Senate Committee on Reparation.
It also sounds like trade negotiations.
It is some sort of trade negotiation because if you look at reparation, which is compensation for historical injustice emanating from transatlantic slave trade back then, we are saying that, before 10, 15 years ago, reparation was all about pay us XYZ millions of dollars. But now we're looking at alternative options. Reparation could come in form of debt relief for Africa.
Okay.
It could come in form of technology transfer. It could come in the form of establishment of museums and monuments to honor some of those people, some of those slaves. It could come in form of establishment of an institution. I'll give you an example. In America, Atlanta, in Georgia rather, there's a lake where Igbos, where the tribe that I'm from, that were moved to America, they drowned themselves. They held hands with each other and walked into the water. In our local dialect, they say, "Mili boy bia, mili kage sowena." What it means is that we came from the waters because they were shipped in the waters, and we go back home with the waters. So they entered inside the water and got drowned.
So this is during the transatlantic slave trade.
Yes.
So they reached.
Yes, but they don't want to be slaves.
They realized they were going to be slaves.
Yes.
And said no.
Yes.
They went back into the water.
They held their hands. If you Google Igbo landing.
Igbo landing.
Yes, Google it, you're gonna see it. So, for example, a place that, like, I think it's Derrick Creek or something like that, it's called. If the government of Georgia decide to pay for reparations, they can say, "Oh, we are going to establish a museum, a storytelling museum, or a community center where Igbos can come and learn about this Igbo landing and employ people, put it there as a history place." That's a form of reparation. We're not even saying pay the families of those people millions of dollars. It could be, but that is not what we're saying outrightly.
So what is the success rate of this? Because beyond financing, it takes It takes some
policy negotiations,
government negotiations, but it's also accountability. Right? They need to be accountable for the past, right? And be able to say sorry. Say sorry, apologize, and want to work together and move forward together, right? So how successful has it been during your tenure on this committee?
Oh, the committee was just inaugurated last year, sometime in August. So we haven't gotten to a certain level of engagement. So what we're doing now is we have developed some of the policies for reparations, and we're starting to engage international communities on that. We've had meetings. My principal, who is the chairman of Senate Committee on Reparation, distinguished Senator Nedmoko, has had meetings with all African leaders, ambassadors who are in Nigeria. And we're saying that this is what we want to do.
For Africa.
For
so
Africa.
that we're
We speak in one
negotiating
voice.
as one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So beyond that, in New York next month during the UNGA, we are hosting a global reparation forum where we can have speakers from the African Union, ECOWAS, or the regional blocs, ambassadors from different African countries to make their case. European community is going to be there to make a case for reparations from Africa. And each country is identifying where their interests align, and then it becomes one. Further down, we are proposing for a seat, an African seat at the United Nations, where some of this reparative justice can be discussed. On the aspect of climate change, we're also seeking reparative justice for climate change and all that. So it's a lot of work that we want to start doing. That doesn't mean that there has not been fights for reparation in the past. There has been ongoing conversations and reparation, especially from West Africa, and East Africa. But we are amplifying, we intend to amplify some of those voices, hoping that, we're going to get to the point that those compensations are actually paid, whether in financial or otherwise.
So if they are actually paid financially or in kind, right, in one way or another, how do you think it would change our societies and the way we function or see or understand the assets, the cultural assets?
So if
and the stories, I guess, behind them, yeah.
Yeah, so when reparations are paid, right? Let's take, for example, there's a financial reparation. The particular community is going to be identified, right? So there has to be capacity building for that community. There has to be resource mobilization for that community. There has to be something to say that a wrong was done and a remedy has happened. And that remedy is going to create a sustainable environment for those people. Exactly. So, for example, if their houses were destroyed or during war or as a result of actions of the colonial masters, maybe slave trade and all that, we can say, let's build a monument, let's build an ancestral home for some of those people. If the artifacts were stolen and returned, let us establish somewhere where the stories about these artifacts can be told, and it can attract tourism to the community and to the country. The some Benin bronze were returned in Edo State, repatriated down.
I saw them. I went to Edo State once, and I saw them. And the people of Edo and Benin State are very proud.
They're very proud. So it was repatriated, and it's been housed, and it's forming an act of tourism where people go to look at the Benin bronze, to tell stories around it. So the community will feel happy. They feel proud that this is a remedy that has happened to them. So there's a whole lot of narrations around reparation and repatriation.
Yeah, I think, if you were to return, a very famous picture to me as Diane, I'd be like, thank you. But where's the money? Or what's the story behind it that has meaning, right? That I can also tell my children and my family, and that it will give me more pride to be where I'm from, right? So it has to have something, financial gain or purpose, meaning behind it. When we talk about heritage in general, we're always talking about passing on one thing to another, from one generation to another. Do you have any fears about what that means with AI and the way the world is moving, and Gen Z and the future? Do you see it in competition? Do you see it in alignment? What's your view?
So I have serious fear for AI. I feel like everybody generally, but my own is that basic family values are being eroded gradually. Talking about Gen Zs, there's a new set of demography after Gen Z. Is it Gen Alpha?
Alpha.
Those ones are coming. Those ones, I don't even know. So the advent of AI has caused a disruption. As millennials, internet was our disruptor.
Yeah, like Google.
Google,
Yes.
internet was wow, like, oh my God, I typed this computer and, well, AI is the next level of disruption that's going to take away the humanity as we know it. The moral values, jobs, thought process, thinking, critical thinking. Like a lot of times, as low as updating status on Instagram, sometimes I go to ChatGPT, writing just one paragraph.
The caption.
Writing one paragraph. So what happens before is I create my
To
caption.
think through it.
It doesn't take me 1 minute to think through it,
Yeah.
right? So I will still write. So what I do now with ChatGPT is I will write my language and save it on ChatGPT. So ChatGPT gives me the prompt based on my language, right? So I write my captions, I write my essays, and I take it to ChatGPT and say, refine this. Or
Yes.
so I find out that, oh my God, this is amazing. So I feel cool. So that has been affecting every aspect of life. And I feel that advent of AI is less than 2 years.
Yeah, it's like a year.
So you can imagine what will happen in the next 5, 10 years. It's
going to be a completely different world.
It's mind blowing. So that's my concern. In the next 10 years, 5 years, where are we going to be with AI? Do we still need humans?
Yeah, I would say yes, but I think what we really need are values, right? And we need to maintain them. And I think, I was listening to another podcast in the morning, and it was talking about it was a business podcast, and the lady, the guest was a billionaire. She had built $1 billion company, and it had been acquired over a few years, and she didn't come from money. So the host asked her, "How are you going to raise your kids now that you're a multi-billionaire?" And she said, "Well, to me, it's more about the values, right? Because sure, they can travel in economy when we go on holiday, but they're still going to be in the villa with us, right? So you can't shield them from that, but you can. It's about upbringing, and it's about value and what you will tolerate and what you won't and what you put emphasis on. And I think it's the same when it comes to technology and to AI. It will be a different way of life, right? But it's still human centered, right? And values are still very important. And whenever I think of AI, I think of telling my parents when Google first came out, I don't know how you went to school before Google, because Google is going to be the same thing. Our younger siblings and children will say, how did you live before ChatGPT and other AI tools, right? But it is a tool. And I think people and values are still very relevant.
So it is a tool, right? So your computer language is garbage in, garbage out. I put in a prompt, I put in something, it gives it back to me. So they are creating AIs that will be self-reliant.
Yeah.
So I program an AI that knows that 9 o'clock in the morning, I need to have my hot water for tea, I need to have my this. AIs are now being converted to robots, a fusion of that. So they are creating technologies that are self-reliant. So I watched a movie. Did you see iRobot?
Yes.
iRobot was like years
Just
back.
thinking about
before
or
AI.
all the robot movies or
Before
alien
AI.
movies, or it does feel
Before
like
AI.
we're
So
in a movie.
there's another one I watched. It was a girl that lost her parents, and an AI, a baby robot was bought for her, and then the robot now wasn't listening to human anymore. Started disobeying human.
I think that's everybody's fear. Like, okay, now it's a tool, but will they turn on us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's a concern. But I think the solution should be to create a culturally relevant AI that can still maintain the values, teach the values, of African culture and African values and family values. That should be the solution.
Yeah.
If they will invest on that.
Be able to speak our language, literally, I think that's coming. But also to archive some of our, our historical events with accuracy, right? That still needs us to correct them. So I think, when I talk about your work, and I think about your work, really, It's large-scale events.
It is.
It's deep policy.
It is.
It's trade negotiations.
It's non-profit. So I also have a non-profit aspect of my, my life. I love to create impact. I love to give back. We've got some schools that we've adopted in Nigeria. We renovate, we provide schools academic supplies, run programs on health. We've run program on prostate cancer. We've run program on mental health of mothers as caregivers of persons with disability. We've run some of those programs, and give back and creating societal impact has always been our thing, personally.
So there's a social impact.
So the social impact
to this. So you're really thinking of it as a holistic spectrum, right? It's the culture, it's the heritage, it's the creative industries, it's the policy, it's the intergenerational knowledge, it's the interstate, and all of it together.
International diplomacy.
And
development.
Right.
Those are the nucleus of the things I do. I don't do agriculture, I don't do oil and gas, I don't do cocoa farming. But
I mean, you would say to an extent, if you're exporting food, right? Well, you're exporting the knowledge of the food, right? Yeah. Of rice. Well, I guess love rice.
But I hope to have a restaurant in Canada too.
Oh, call me. Let me know when that opens.
I hope.
Yeah, let me know when that opens. But just where do you get all of your energy from to do all of this work? And how do you prioritize?
So I call it time management.
Yeah, are you good at that?
So very good. So I do a lot of thinking. So I conceptualize what I want to do first. So I have it on my head. So if something is not going right, I know this is. So I know that. Oh, I started planning my December right now. I'm going to be in Canada in December.
6 months.
So I started planning that. Well, I want to have an event. I want to have a Nigerian Christmas event. I call it a Niger Christmas.
Yes.
So I've started planning. Oh, this is what I wanted to do. I know that December is for that. November, let me something else. September, I'm going to New York for a side event. Time management. So I know that, in all of this, I need time to socialize, I need time to have fun. I like to party. I like to hang out with friends. I need time for family. So for me, it's time management. So everything has got its own. Not like I'm living on a schedule. But time management helps me too.
So I think from what I understand, I think it would be purpose first, because there's a reason why you do everything.
Remember, purpose-driven life.
Yeah, purpose-driven life. And then time management is your tool. Do you have a system? Like, do you have a team, or is it just you, a one-man show with all the great ideas, or do you work through people, other organizations?
So I do. I have a team in all of these sectors. Well, one thing I do first is to conceptualize, drop the concept note, and then I'll call my team and say, this is what we need to implement.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're calling a team to say, it's not co-creation, exactly. So I create
your vision,
and I say, this is what I want us to do.
Okay.
So they can bring in their ideas on how to implement, but then there's a vision that is already there to implement. Not like, I want to do a party, but I don't know what to call it. Can we just have a quick brainstorming? No. I know what I want to do. I bring a team together. We talk about the implementation. That has always been my model.
So it's your vision.
It's always my vision,
right? And okay.
And I also help to grow other people's vision as well. I have friends who have asked me, this is what I want to do. I don't know how to do it, but what are your ideas? And so once I have those, I put a team together. We implement.
And is it just Nigeria to Canada, or is it Nigeria to the world?
Nigeria to the world.
Nigeria to the world.
Yeah, Nigeria to the world.
Beautiful. So, quick spin. If you were to plan your perfect day, because days are busy.
Perfect day.
Perfect day. If you were to plan your perfect day, who, what, where, and why? With who? What would you be doing? Where would you be? And why would you be doing it?
Okay, my perfect day. When does it start?
Up to you. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Yeah, I'm both. So,
both?
Yeah, so I'm a
24 hours on the clock.
I'm a morning person. Mornings are, for me, for family for me.
Okay. So you divide your days.
Early mornings are for families, and then I don't leave home till about 11 a.m.
Okay.
in Nigeria. So spend time with my family. Of course, my daughter goes to school, and and then at that point I have a bit of sanity in the mornings to prepare for the day. So I
Do
have
you
an
have like a morning ritual? Like, do you work out first?
I don't.
Do you all the things?
I don't have morning ritual.
Okay.
I don't. I wish I
feel
do
better
work
about
out.
myself.
I don't have morning rituals.
Yeah.
When people say, "Oh, I do this by what time to know?"
I know, right?
Some days I can decide to wake up by 7. Some days I wake up by 9. But I mean, be with family a little bit, plan the day, and then I have to see my principal. If I see him, I'm always very happy. Distinguished senator Ned, he gives me 1 or 2 tasks, or to say this is what we need to do today. And then when I'm done, I hang out with friends, go to lounge, meet up, and then I come home, probably 10, 11. But Saturdays and Sundays are for families. I usually don't like to go out except it's very important, daytime. But at night, I can go out.
So when you go out with friends, for example, is that like, mental stress relief?
Yes,
or
yes.
is it like relationship building? Like it's intentional?
It's mental stress relief because I do a lot of thinking. So it's stress relief, and not part of it could be relationship building or building connections, but stress relief for me, just unwind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important for me.
If you could give advice to anybody watching this podcast who wants to live well, but they don't know how to do it, where to start, they want to live a purpose-driven life, what advice would you give them?
This is funny because what works for me might not work for you.
It's okay. It's just advice. They can take it or leave it.
Yes. So, first of all, knowing yourself is key. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses, right? Having self-discipline is very important. To know, this is what I have to do. This is what I don't have to do. So when I clocked 40, I don't take a lot of alcohol, but when I clocked 40, I dropped my alcohol intake by 70%. Dropped it by 70%.
And you were not a big drinker?
I wasn't a big drinker. So whatever I was drinking before, I dropped it down to 20%. Because
what does that look like? Like 1 glass a month?
No. No. So in a sitting, like 3 guys, we might just finish 1 bottle.
Okay.
3 guys. So in that round of 1 bottle, I probably have just 1 shot.
Oh, okay.
That's how 30% it is. I mean, so cut down your alcohol intake. Have self-discipline. It is very key. It is important. Self-discipline keeps you away from problems. Trust me. Should I give you an example?
Yes, please.
Self-discipline keeps you away from trouble. If you are a single person and you're not in a relationship, you want to focus on your work, self-discipline helps you to focus on your work. If you're not a single person, you're in a relationship but not married, and you don't have self-discipline, you're prone to having a lot of other girls around, and that's distraction. It's going to cause you mental breakdown and all that. If you're married, you don't have self-discipline, almost the same thing. If you are
distraction.
If you're at work,
yeah,
and you don't have self-discipline, to know that I need to do this, I need to have integrity, I need to have that, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
So expenditure too, self-discipline. You spend more than you earn. So all of those things brought together gives you some level of near perfection, not perfection, at least 65% acceptability to know that, oh, this guy is a good guy. This guy knows what he's doing. He's responsible, he's reliable. He has his flaws, but he has over 65%, positivity, good energy on him. So that can take you anywhere in life. The moment you can have 1 or 2 persons that can say, oh, let me talk to Chuks. Oh, go and talk to Chuks. No, Chuks can do this for you. Oh, I think you should. That is all you need as a human being. But when you are the type that nobody can refer you to, nobody can say, oh, you need to.
I don't know how he is.
Yeah, I don't know how he exactly. I can't really trust him. I don't.
I know him socially. I've never worked with him.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it speaks to character.
It's character.
Right?
Character is
And your character you take with you everywhere.
Yeah.
Business, outside of business.
Absolutely. One needs to be very careful with the character because it's a lot. It can connect you to anything.
It can also break it.
It can always break you.
And it's all up to you.
Yep.
Right? It all starts with you, I think is
early enough. Not when you're 45 or 50, you now learn
You can start at any time. You can change. Do you believe people change?
Yes.
Yeah.
People change.
I would hope so.
Situations have made. I've seen a guy that changed from one thing to the other completely, and he just flows with that.
Night and day. He changed for the better.
For the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to believe people change.
So people don't believe people change.
I think there's some people we hope to change and they don't, and then it's disappointing. But I do believe
people change both for good for the better or for the worst. People change. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chuks, I hope you don't change. I hope you continue doing everything you're doing. I cannot wait for the Niger Christmas Fest, right? Please call me. Let me know when you open the restaurant. I will definitely be there.
It's a dream that I have.
So much. And dreams come true. Manifestation. Do you believe in manifestation?
Yes.
And writing, do you write things down?
A lot. If you see my drafts on my phone, some of them I don't even go back to them. But when ideas come, I just quickly, put that down. And then I find myself going back to revisit it. I have a whole folder in my computer where I have ideas.
So you revisit it?
Or I revisit it.
Yeah.
So when I revisit it, I try to work on it. If it's not working, I archive it. So someone sometimes can say, oh, I think I want to do it. I go and bring it up and say, this is it. And then, I
do that too. I feel like sometimes the idea is not for the now, right? It needs further inspiration or tweaking or the right partner or, but so you archive it. I do that too. The notes in my phone are crazy, right? But also every year I do a vision board.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah. Because, like it says, write down the vision and write the vision, make it plain, and it sure will come to pass. Chuks, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for inviting me to the Flavors of Nigeria
Pleasure is mine.
Festival. I really enjoyed myself, but I've enjoyed myself even more learning about all the amazing work that you do and learning that it even goes beyond Nigeria. It's for Africa as a whole and from Africa to the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.